All right, everybody. So, in case you've been under a rock, I want to jump in and have a conversation about Baltimore Pride over the weekend, y'all. If you have not seen Dominique Morgan's video, if you haven't seen all of the things that are circulating online about what's happening with Baltimore Black Pride, I want to give you a bit of a synopsis before we go into this, because I think that if you have been paying attention, then many of you know that Baltimore Black Pride played in the face of a lot of Black trans people over the weekend. And I think that it's safe to say that this shit is completely and utterly disgusting, mostly because what we do know is that pride shouldn't be separate at all to begin with. And the fact that it was, and we had them both in the same day around the same time, and they were not given the same amount of visibility, that says a lot. And considering that the person that runs Baltimore Trans Pride is Aya Dammons. And if you know anything about Aya, then you know that she is a solid force in the movement for trans people. And she's a solid force in the movement in general as it pertains to anybody who is organizing out here in these streets. But I want you all to be able to hear from the horse's mouth and from the people who this happened to, I think, in the most disgusting and despicable way, if I'm being honest. So Dominique Morgan made a video about all of this. And I want to see if I can pull this video up. I want to see if I can pull this video up so that we can all get a little glimpse about, or glimpse into what exactly happened here. Because beyond anything, I think that respect was missing from this conversation. And I think that if we don't have respect for one another, if we don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out, and all we have is insults, or all we have is our inability to connect with actual human beings and what is really going on in real time, then we're due, like, we are not doing ourselves a service. So I actually was able to pull up the video from Dominique so that y'all can hear from Dominique what she felt like her experience was over there at Baltimore Pride, because she was booked there. So I have the video queued up, and we're all going to take a little bit of a look-see, shall we? All righty, bam. And then we going right here, and I'm gonna share this with you all. And I'm going to try to move my big head ass up out the way so that Dominique can share her.
Me and the way that you showed up yesterday. Unfortunately, okay, who I'm looking for is Tanisha Jackson. She is the entertainment chair for Baltimore Pride and runs a management company, a media company. Her Instagram, I apologize. I cut your wife out of the picture because I'm not trying to do too, I am not comfortable with the way that you treated me and the way that you showed up yesterday. And people are talking about apologies, but I want to talk to you and I want to understand what happened to make you behave the way you behaved and why you thought your actions were appropriate, not only considering the circumstances, considering where we were, but the fact that Trey Moore, who is the person who works for the Maryland Pride Center, is the one who told us to go on stage and make that announcement and invited us on the stage and handed us the microphones. And why you thought four or five security guards escorting me out of your pride because I need to go back up there to trans pride was the right way to act. What enraged you so much at the time when your stage was done? I want to know that. And I want to know why you, a contractor and a volunteer, were able to make those sort of decisions when you don't work for the agency who oversees Pride. I want to know that, and I will know that today. And if I don't know it today, I promise you, I will. You apology is due unto me, and it will be given.
Now, if you know my good sis Dominique, that apology was swiftly issued. And she did indeed get exactly what she said she was going to get, which was an apology. But I want to take y'all to a place that doesn't even start with the apology. I want to take y'all to the original place that all of this started, which is the actual pride planning. And I say that because when we are thinking about pride and when we're thinking about planning pride, you all, we have to be very mindful of the amount of space that we allow people to occupy, and understanding that just because a person might identify with the LGBT does not mean that they support all of the letters in that LGBT. So I want to take y'all to the top of all of this, which is what I believe the most important part of it, the segregation of it all. So I have been talking and having a conversation with Aya Dammons, who is over Baltimore Black Trans Pride. Okay. And what she told me, and if y'all can watch my mouse here, this purple little circle right here is where trans pride was being held. Right. And so this is the space that you were expected to find in this park when you were coming to go to trans pride. And that in and of itself is an issue. When we are having a pride celebration. And the festivities are so segregated, yet so in the same spot. None of this makes sense to me, because how can we be so close and yet so far away during a celebration that is supposed to be for all of us, for the entirety of the community? Why was Baltimore Pride and Baltimore Trans Pride even separated into two different categories? And it makes me believe that this political climate is forcing people, I say that with air quotations, into a space where they then believe that somehow distancing themselves is going to make them more palatable for community. Now, I want to show you that this was Baltimore Trans Pride space, this little purple circle that Aya was nice enough to give to me, right? Then over here, all of this space was dedicated for the overall pride situation that was happening at the same time on the same day. Now, when you look at all of this space that was dedicated to the overall Baltimore pride, I don't know about y'all, but I would like to believe that there's more than enough space for everybody, especially considering that this was the space that trans pride was going to take up. Why couldn't trans pride be like right up in here? Why couldn't trans pride live like right over here? Why couldn't it live over here? Why couldn't we have a stage over here? There were so many different places that we could have placed this so that the sounds did not conflict with one another, and you didn't have to be all the way back in the boonies behind all of this foliage. And looking at this, how do we even get to this place from like, how do I get over here from over here? I'm looking at this map. We're all looking at this map. And it seems like you have to leave this park completely, hop on the freeway, get off on Red Road, come all the way around. But if I'm walking from Pride, because I believe that everything is connected, I can't even get to Trans Pride on foot, which makes it almost impossible for anybody who is actually trying to show up for trans pride to get there. Okay. Like, this to me says a lot without saying a lot. Now, a lot of y'all are going to sit back and say things like, well, Hope, I don't know if that's a justifiable thing, because I feel like, at the end of the day, if we are navigating prides and they didn't want, that specific pride to be a part of what they had going on, I don't think that there's a problem with them being able to note that, being able to say that, whatever the case may be. But I beg to differ. And the reason that I beg to differ on this is because when we are yet again having these sort of setups, this is for celebration. It's for community. It is for all of us to be able to come together and work on what we see as visibility, what we see as tangibility for community, what we see as love and fun and celebration. And so the fact that you would deliberately place them all the way in the back in a space that is not accessible to everybody shows me exactly what is going on here, which is that there was intentional disenfranchisement of the trans community. And I'm just going to say that plain how it is, because that is just unfortunately how it is and how it was and how it went. Okay. So now I'm going to actually bring you all back, because I want to show you this video that we have. This video that we have of Dominique actually being escorted, because I want y'all to also be able to draw the parallel of what happened here. And then I'm going to add some nuance that some of y'all going to like and some of y'all are not going to like. But both times I'm going to say what the fuck I got to say. Okay. So I'm going to add this back. We've already seen the setup. Now we're going to go into, and I hope that this is actually, let me pull this back so I can make sure it's the right video. Right.
To promote by Trayvon, and this woman tells us, film this security running up on me like I'm a fucking. Red. You get out red. No, it's not okay. No. Shit I've ever experienced in my life. We understand, but you gotta pick it up with them. But they told her to do that. No, y'all are confused. Apologize. We don't know this shit.
Yeah, they told it, but they told.
Don't apologize. You doing your job. That bitch is weird.
They told you to do it.
No, bitch, y'all
No,
got me fucked up.
they told you to do it though. They told you to do it.
So in this clip, what we're seeing is exactly what Dominique explained, which was that she was told to go on stage, make an announcement to push people closer to the trans pride festivities, because everything that had been happening with trans pride was getting overshadowed by everything that was going on down the hill. Now, mind you, Dominique saw that their pride was over, all of their headliners had gone, and on top of that, she had already consulted and consorted, if you go to Dominique's videos, with the person that booked her to come and be one of the spotlight headline people on this lineup. When she was given the opportunity to talk about the artists, to bring people up the hill so that they could go up and do trans pride and, you know, like all of these different things, then she is escorted off the stage by BPD at a pride event. Yes, they're there to keep us safe, but also that's very telling about the planning of pride, right? So BPD comes, and thankfully, this particular BPD was not aggressive or violent or, you know, threatening towards Dominique at all. But what I want to say is that at the end of the day, you sicked the cops essentially on a Black trans woman who was recently reincarcerated, regardless of how you feel about why she was incarcerated. You, as the Baltimore Pride folks, sicked the cops in Baltimore on a Black trans woman who recently she just got out of jail. That to me is, if you saw Dominique's emotion in this video, if you saw Dominique's if you heard the strain and whatever in her voice, I would bet you that if the police was called on you at an event where you were paid to be and paid to be the life of the party and get the people going and do all of the things, you would be pissed off too. You would be pissed off too. Because that has to be a triggering experience in your body to be carted away by police officers weeks after just leaving one of the worst prison conditions in the United States. And the idea that as Black people, and as Black people who are queer, and as Black people who are LGB, and all of those things, y'all don't understand that the police are not a safe place for us to be, and that the police are never going to be a safe thing for us to truly lean on as it pertains to multi-marginalized people. Meaning, we're not just Black. We are Black and queer. And the way that the police navigate us is completely different. And this was out of line. And Baltimore Pride, I know that what I do know is that this bitch in this next clip needs to leave. Y'all don't need to be out here touting her as anything other than the antagonist that she is. Because one thing that I want to say, you all, is that trans exclusionary radical feminists exist in every form. I don't want y'all to just believe that the J.K. Rowlings of the world are the only people that are capable, because they are not. There are Black women who do not believe that trans women belong in women's spaces. We've seen it with that weird ass Tish bitch in LA. We've seen it with so many other Black women all over the internet internet. And this is not a situation that I believe was just about a miscommunication between prides. I think a couple of things happened here, and I'm getting to it, but just know some of y'all might not like this take, but you're gonna have to eat it anyway. So I'm about to present another piece of evidence that I want you all to be able to see. And this is the exchange that was had when they were asked to leave early, even though regular Black Pride had not ended at the time that it was set aside in the emails that were exchanged from that morning, because they had a severe weather watch. And so everybody was supposed to be gone by 4, because everybody was supposed to be packed up by 3:30. So now that trans pride is coming to get understanding, this is what they are met with. Okay? This is what trans pride was met with when trying to get understanding from the Black Pride people.
We want to make sure that everybody, we're going to ask Trey Moore to make it. And Trey Moore is on his way. I'm talking to her about
So I'm gonna replay this so y'all can see the nuance of this, okay? So the wife, the light-skinned woman, she is trying to de-escalate the situation while also navigating what feels like feelings of I don't give a fuck. But at the very least, she's trying to remain professional, and she's trying to hear out the concerns of the people who are coming to discuss what's going on and why it seems like trans pride's resources are not being prioritized in the same way that regular Baltimore pride and their resources are being prioritized. So this is what is happening in this part, right? We want to make sure that everybody has a good time. We want de-escalation tactics. This is how you attempt to de-escalate a situation that you can foresee going in the wrong direction. And this woman was doing a really great job at trying to reroute the conversation until.
We're going to ask Trey Moore to make it. And Trey Moore is on his way.
So her wife says Trey Moore is on his way to let him handle it, right? Essentially, what her wife is doing is dismissing the work that her wife was doing. I'm so sorry. When you have like gay couples and shit, you got to say the wife and the wife, the husband and the husband, right? But so what the light-skinned woman here is doing, because that's how we can differentiate them clearly. What the light-skinned woman was doing here was laying the groundwork so that she could buy time for Trey to get there, because I don't believe that she genuinely wanted to help either, but I believe that she understands customer service and optics. And I think that she also realized and recognized the cameras that her wife either did not see or didn't give a fuck about, to be perfectly honest. And so she was doing her best to not be a viral moment. The wife then says, basically, fuck that. This is not our problem. He will deal with that when he gets here. You come with me. And the wife is trying to be like, no, that we owe them X, Y, and Z because I want everybody to have a good time. The wife, Miss Big Britches, says, fuck that. Come with me. Now, mind you, they're having a civil conversation. You're the only person that has this anger or this weird energy in your chest. And as a darker skinned woman, I'm not trying to give you dark skin, angry bitch vibes, but your wife was calm, security was calm, nobody raised their voice. Why is your face and your overall stance and even your hand placement between your wife and this young gentleman that is having a conversation civilly with your wife, why is it all of a sudden in the defense mechanism or the defense stance when nobody needs to be defended in this particular moment? And so it's giving that your wife was really trying to de-escalate and you were trying to turn up. You were looking for any excuse to make this a bigger issue than it actually was. And I think that this goes to show that as it pertains to trans people and as it pertains to trans folks specifically and exclusively within the LGBTQIA+ community, we are seeing this regression of respect from our own community members. We're seeing a regression of people wanting to continue to eradicate us in our own community, eradicate us outside of our community, distance themselves themselves in a hope to possibly gain some sort of right-winged support and some sort of right-wing cutback. I want to break it to y'all in the most direct way I can. Them crackers don't give a fuck about us. They don't give a fuck about us as niggas, and they damn sure don't give a fuck about us as gay niggas. They don't give a fuck about us as trans niggas. They don't give a fuck about as non-binary niggas. They don't care about niggas, period. So I need y'all to understand that booty clapping and dick sucking for people who have already told you that they don't see you as human beings is not going to save you, honey bunches of oats. It's just going to make you an easier target. And what you do is find yourself becoming a Candace Owens for people who don't fuck with you. And so at the end of the day, because that's one of my favorite little phrases, at the end of the day, what y'all have to understand is that you are there to serve the people who are there to come to Pride. You are not there to acquiesce, or you are not there to hearken back or virtue signal to a president that don't see you unless you're touting the things that he wants you to tout, and a judicial system that is not going to protect you in the event that any one of y'all had ended up in those fucking handcuffs. Because again, we were not dealing with personalized security, which we should have been at a Pride event that is specifically in focus on Black people. We should not have been dealing with BPD first and foremost, but I'll digress. That's y'all's planning committee, not mine. And if you ever planned an event with Black queer people, you know that police are the last motherfuckers that we call them to come and be our security, because those motherfuckers pull some shiesty ass shit, especially when the dolls are involved. But number two, one of the things that we have to be clear-minded of is that this entire situation could have been avoided if y'all wouldn't have been trying to do away with the trans people as a whole. What y'all do not like and what y'all don't want to own is that a lot of you all are seeking safety in bigotry, and you're never going to find it. All you are going to do is find yourself one less soldier in this war we call life, because we need each other. And this idea that y'all think that the distance and that the disdain and that showing your disdain is going to somehow save you in the long run, my God, you've got to get a grip. It won't. It's not. It never has, and it never will. And so I want to also lean into some other things that I was given. This clip right here is an actual clip of Akasha Bentley on stage. It's a little grainy. Bear with me, y'all. I'm so sorry. But this is an actual clip of Akasha Bentley on stage trying to perform. They cut her music early, even though there were no other people that needed to perform. They kicked them out of the stage or off of the stage earlier than expected. This is the clip of them trying to explain that, you know, Akasha still has not performed, and the cops are having to do their job and say, well, they told us this time, we don't have nothing to do with that. Also, the fact of the matter is that Baltimore Pride was not handling Baltimore Pride's issues. And that's an issue in and of itself. If you are dealing with Baltimore Pride, if this is y'all shit, if the gays are fucking with the gays over here, then the gays should be the people communicating all of these things. Why do y'all have cishet men who don't even want to be working this fucking Pride event to begin with, coming over to talk to trans women who they might not even be comfortable talking to, and they just at this park because they wanted the easy shift on the job and didn't realize that it was going to include dealing with LGBTQ people in Baltimore on that day? And so there are so many things wrong with this, but I want y'all to take a look at this clip as well. You can hear Akasha's set in the background. They were literally about to perform. I know it's grainy, but this is Akasha in the red trying to just ask if she can perform the one song before they get kicked out. Okay. And this is Baltimore Police Department being like, hey, bruh, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Everything's being recorded. Okay, but performance is that. Question. It's in Danny's car. Oh, I need to bring it. Okay, but second question.
Right.
Oh, he like that.
So this is another reason why we don't like to have police at pride events. The reason that we don't like to have police at pride events is because, as you can see in the video, I know it's grainy, but even if you listen to what the person that is filming said, right? When you listen to what they say, "Oh, he look mad. Oh, da 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 da." All of these different things are happening, and mind you, Akasha is the talent. Akasha is the talent. The talent should not be managing time stuff that's going on with the event venue. Like, this is not Akasha's tour. Akasha is here essentially for a festival to show up, do her slot, and go home. Why is Akasha speaking to the police about permits and timeframes when she's the talent? And the reason why is because y'all literally pulled the girl off of the stage in order to shut things down. And I've never really seen people get pulled off of a stage. I've never seen people have their set stopped, at least not the way that they've done in this particular instance. Okay. And the thing about it is, I love that we've made the best of it, but making the best of it is not a fucking enough. We've worked hard. We've done our due diligence to make sure that our things can go viral, that it can resonate with our audience, that people are touched by the work that we do. And as trans people, and specifically as Black trans people, we deserve the space to be able to present our art. I am sick and tired of Black trans artists telling me that they are being pushed by the wayside, or they're being left for fucking dead after you get whatever headliner person that you want to get in there, or after they've been already stuck in the back of a broom closet somewhere to begin with. One of the things that we have to be mindful of, because this isn't just an isolated incident with Dominique or Akasha. This happens to 2 a.m. Ricky and Never Ending Nina all the time. These are things that happen to people when they are performing all the time. Mila Jam talks a little bit about how sometimes she is disenfranchised as a trans artist. And I don't want to believe that people think that somehow, some way, that trans artistry is less valid and less important, especially at a pride event. There's no way that trans women who have hit singles should be deprioritized at a pride event, but y'all show all of this extra love to Cash Doll, who, as far as I know, has never been an open and avid fucking supporter of the trans community or the LGBTQIA plus community, outside of having a couple of punks do her hair. And I say punks in a loving way in this particular instance. But at the end of the day, this woman is not some motherfucking LGBT icon. Had it been Brandy, had it been Keke Palmer, had it been K. Michelle, people who we know talk avidly about their connection to the queer community, I might give y'all a little bit of grace. But the fact of the matter is, y'all pulled a rabbit out of the hat by inviting Cash Doll all the way from fucking Detroit to begin with, and then turning around and treating actual queer and trans motherfucking people that were hired and paid to be there like they were tertiary citizens at their own fucking safe space. And Baltimore Pride, you deserve and you need your motherfucking ass whooped. But since I can't whoop the ass of an entity, that lady with the locks needs her motherfucking position and title taken. That apology, that Bouffale ass, oh my God, Dominique Morgan, we love you. Oh, yes, sister got her apology, but at the end of the day, the disrespect that y'all showed her, the trauma that y'all probably caused and drudged up in her body, having fucking police come and drag her off of the fucking stage, is absolutely unacceptable. And an apology at this point is up and it's stuck if it pertains to me. But this did not happen to me. This happened to Dominique, so I can't tell you what the punishment or what the accountability should look like. But if it were up to me, y'all bitches will be fired. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how good regular Black Pride was, the fact that there was a need to separate them is a problem. The fact that you pulled Dominique off the stage and she was talent is a problem. The fact that y'all did not go up there and communicate with the talent who was at Trans Pride, even though y'all were shutting off generators, even though y'all did not make it easy for people to get there, even though y'all stuck them in the woods on purpose, all of these things happened and nobody was accountable to these folks except the people that exclusively books Trans Pride when we're all supposed to be in this together. Y'all two big ass motherfucking bulldaggers and got the nerve to sit around and act like you don't understand what it's like to be looked at funny, to be treated differently, to be ostracized from community. And I don't know what the fuck the problem was, but at the end of the day, y'all had absolutely no fucking right to do what you did, and you know that you were dead ass wrong, which is the reason why an apology was still issued even if it didn't come from your fucking lips. Because at the At the start of all of this, the separation was intentional. At the start of all of this, all of the animosity, all of the weirdness, all of the backbiting and the weird energy, you came in with that. And it was very fucking clear that you came in with that, because the attitude on your face versus the way that your wife was showing up, versus the way that your wife was trying to handle the situation, versus the way that your wife was trying to de-escalate the situation, tells me everything that I need to know about you. That tells me everything that I need to know about you. Now, here's the tinge of nuance that I got to give y'all. At the end of the day, one of the things that we have to hold ourselves accountable for is our reputation. Huh? One of the things that we have to hold ourselves accountable for is our reputation. In this life and in this world, that's all we got. Now, I recognize that some people have decided that Dominique is a criminal and they want nothing to do with her. I recognize and I understand that some people have decided that Dominique ain't shit and she's not anybody who is worthy of community uplifting, and all of y'all people that are out here helping and protecting and or not just saying fuck Dominique are a part of the problem. I understand that. And I also understand that some of this might be happening because maybe that lady is not a TERF. Maybe she does not dislike trans people. But what I can assume is maybe, just maybe, she's one of those people that wanted Dominique to still be sitting in Rikers. Eh? Huh? Maybe, just maybe, if we think about that tinge of nuance as well, not saying that this was told to me, not saying that I have any proof about this, it's all alleged, but if 2 + 2 = 4, then what the fuck is this? Because at the end of the day, and the beginning of the morning, if it walk, talk, quack, and smack like a duck, then I'm willing to believe that it's a duck. And what this feels like is that this animosity is coming from nowhere. And it would have no reason to come from nowhere unless you already came here with a feeling. So if you came here with the feeling already, I would be inclined to believe maybe it's because you one of them people that didn't want Dominique to be a part of this event in the first place. And the fact that she was still on the roster bothered your soul. But you were willing to let it slide because she was supposed to be up there in the woods where you were trying to hide all the rest of the trans people. And then Dominique came down there and got on your microphone. Eba. Why they let that bitch do that? That motherfucking trainee that you don't like, that you thought should still be in jail, came down there and put her motherfucking mouth on your microphone, and it was all cool, and it was copacetic, and it was fine and dandy until that bitch grabbed your microphone. And then all of a sudden, it's police. And then all of a sudden, it's escort her out of a pride event. She wasn't fighting. She wasn't rowdy. Everybody in the comments and everybody who was there can corroborate this story. Nobody has a different account of the story. And so, if everybody is saying the same thing but you and your wife, who has a duty to you, at least publicly, I'm inclined to believe that y'all are the problem. I'm inclined to believe that Baltimore pride is the problem. I'm inclined to believe that a couple of things might be true. And we won't know the real thing unless you're a boss enough bitch to actually pull your clique together and stand on your business. But you're not going to do that because you copped the plea at the first video. And you're going to continue to cop pleas now. But what I want y'all to understand is that in this particular political climate, we don't have space, time, or energy to be anything other than on a united front. If we are not going to be in this together, then we should not be in this at all. If you're not going to have a pride that is going to be inclusive of trans people, then you should not have a pride at all. If you are having a pride that does not include or center lesbian or sapphic people, then you should not be having a pride at all. If your pride is going to be completely centered around gay men, then you should not be having a pride at all. If your pride does not acknowledge the existence of non-binary and gender non-conforming people, then don't have a pride. Pride is not a party for y'all to decide who gets in and who doesn't get in because you get to be the mean girl as the organizer that year. Some of you bitches were never popular in school, and it shows every time y'all get a little piece of power because y'all want to weaponize it, overutilize it, and abuse it until within an inch of its own fucking life, and then get mad when people call you in on that bullshit. Pride is not a party. It is a protest. It is a proclamation of us showing up and showing out in our fullness, because that was all we had at some point. All we could do was show up and protest of being who we are. All we could do was walk down the street in those regalias that we were wearing to balls. All we could do was put on the leather and all of that stuff because that was the only way that we knew to express ourselves as queer beings, because without the leather, you're just another man walking down the street. Without the tutu, you're just another lady walking down the street. Without the lipstick and the mustache, you're just another masculine affirming person walking down the street. But when we go to Pride, we put on our things and we tout our shit because that is our history. That is something that they cannot take from us. That is something that they can barely learn from us. Y'all cannot snatch that from us. And as Black queer people, we know all too well how important that history is, how important it is to be able to be seen as who you are. And even if it only happens for one day out of the fucking year, the last person and the last types of people that I expect to be pushing us down and kicking us in the fucking teeth are people that look like us. But no. Them trainees got to go because Trump don't like them, and he kind of like us a little bit. So if we do away with them, we'll be all right. But no, because them nigga bitches being too much. But no, because Dominique Morgan is a thief and y'all is doing too much. But no, because why do they need all this extra space? Ain't nobody coming to see no Akasha, no way. And whole time, everything that they did, even though y'all tried to turn it to shit, tasted like sugar. And they still had an amazing time. They still had an amazing time. And the artists didn't hold it against them. And everybody still enjoyed their sets. And that's what's really pissing you off, is that not only did you get held accountable publicly by Dominique and everybody else that works at Baltimore Trans Pride, but you're also getting held accountable by the motherfuckers who went and still had a great time because y'all thought y'all were going to stop the show. Y'all thought y'all were going to kill the party. Y'all thought the girls, the gays, and the days that were up there trying to get their ones and twos off was going to go home crying sad and in their motherfucking feelings. And when y'all saw the videos that they had moved the party and still had a goddamn good time, y'all were extra in your feelings. So the accountability came twofold, because what you meant for evil, somebody else turned in for good. And that's what happens when you have the day that you deserve. So Baltimore Black Pride, let me say this, and I'm going to say it very clearly. Okay? I'm going to say this very clearly. It's never going to be okay to think that being a pick-me-ass bitch to an administration that has told you that it will kill you the first chance that it gets. It's never going to be okay to be a pick-me to an administration like that. It's never going to be cool for you to bring your personal feelings into an event where people have been paid to come and give their time, their energy, and their effort. If you don't like Dominique, take that shit up with the motherfuckers that booked her. You don't like trans people, take that shit up with the people that came up with Trans Pride. Oh, but you should have done that when y'all were at the meeting, having the meetings about everything that was going on. But you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that because y'all are bigoted, pussy-ass bitches who believe that making yourself bigger than the program is going to save you. When you fail to realize that the motherfuckers that are booked, they're the program. You're the people that nobody remembers after all of the shit needs to be cleaned up. That has to make sure the shit gets cleaned up. And that's the problem. That's the thing that y'all don't understand. You can't be bigger than the program when you're the person that's printing them, love. You can't be bigger than the program when you're the person that's printing them. If your name is only on it as a sponsor, as a person who put it together, who knows you, babe? It goes all the way at the bottom. It goes all the way at the bottom. Nobody reads the sponsorship page. I promise you we don't. And so trying to be bigger than the program because you thought that those trans people were not going to pull out an audience and that nobody was going to step behind them is wild. Because now you looking stupid. And you done pulled your sweet wife all up into the mix because you wanted to be a bitch. When you could have just let that lady handle the things that like she was going to handle them. And it would have been a smooth conversation. It would have been fake as fuck. And you and your wife could have diddled each other's skittle that night, talking shit about the trans people whose days you did not ruin. But no. But no. If Dominique is okay with y'all apology, I'm okay with y'all's apology. But the Baltimore community, as a long-term, I don't give a fuck where I live at, as a long-term resident of the DMV, and a frequent person who has been up in Baltimore advocating for the girls and the dogs and the gays and the days, y'all need to activate against some motherfuckers until that bitch don't have a job. Because if she did it this year, she'll attempt to do worse next year in spite. So if y'all allow this lady to keep that job and keep that position and keep a say-so, because it's not just about getting her out of the job. Y'all got to make sure she has no say-so. Don't just make sure she's fired. Make sure she can't actually have a say-so in anything that happens next year. Because if she can, I guarantee you it'll be 10 times worse because next year she's going to come back with a vendetta if she comes back at all. But if you kill her voice this year and you let her know she has no power this year, she won't show up next year, which means the vibes will be a lot lighter for everybody involved. The people who actually want to come and celebrate folks. Okay? All right? It's you all's duty to use your voice as the people of Baltimore to tell them what y'all want. They work for y'all. They put on Pride for y'all. Pride is for the people. Pride is a protest for the folks. Pride is a celebration for the folks. And if y'all say, fuck that bitch, watch how easily and quickly they say, fuck that bitch. And with that, I'll bid y'all adieu.